Hello friends, welcome to my channel Creating Essence. I am Megan. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I am joined here by my sweet little helper on the front porch to chat with you all how the first term of our homeschool year went so far, as well as the changes we are making for term 2, which for us just started this past Monday. This little one really should be napping, but now that she is a very mature 6 weeks old, she's decided napping isn't really something she likes to do. She's tired, but she will fight sleep with everything in her tiny little body. This year, for the 2020-2021 school year, our school year actually started the end of July. Typically we wait until the first Monday in August, but because we were expecting this cutie in the first or second week of August, we decided to start a week early to give ourselves a little more wiggle room, because we knew when she came, she was gonna take some time and we were gonna take some time off. So I figured if we started a little early and got a jump start on things, we could try to get ourselves into a really good rhythm so that by the time I wasn't doing the homeschooling full time and Daddy was, the kids would already have a good rhythm worked out. This girl ended up coming a bit later than we had planned, so we actually got most of our school term done before she came. I had also planned a 7-week term instead of our usual 6-week term for that first term, knowing we'd take a week at least off when she was born. And it ended up working out perfectly because my husband was able to be off for a little over 3 weeks when she was born. And we were a week in our first 2-week break when he went back to work. So I was able to get a full week of just being mama with him back to working before I needed to start worrying about homeschooling. This second term hasn't gone perfectly because, you know, I'm kind of working on her schedule and trying to keep the other kids in a rhythm. But we are slowly working in our new changes for the second term, and so far things are going really well. The first big change that we are making is that we changed my 5th graders' math curriculum. As I showed in our 5th grade curriculum plans for the year, my 10-year-old Rafaela was going to be doing a Becca. It is a great spiral method math curriculum that we have really enjoyed over the last 11 years, and I've been able to modify it really easily to work well for all of my kids so far. She has had some extra learning struggles over the years, and especially in the area of math, and despite being incredibly diligent, it just was not working well for her already this year. So when the opportunity arose, I decided to give teaching textbooks a try. Teaching textbooks is a computer-based curriculum, which I am not too keen on computer-based work for younger kids, but I figured she's almost to the age I start incorporating computer things, which is usually about 7th grade. And I really wanted to try to figure out a better math program for her learning needs. It is game-based, it is really, really fun and colorful, and it does a great job of giving a lecture and breaking things down into practice problems and work problems. And so far, I mean, we're only 1 week in, but she loves it. And it's working so much better for her than a Becca did during the first term. So I'm really, really hopeful that it's a good match for her, and as things pick up and get a bit harder, that it doesn't start to turn out the same way a Becca had. But we will see. Another big curriculum change we're making is to my oldest daughter's English program. She was also doing a Becca. Math and language are the 2 things that we have stuck with for a Becca over the years. But as we were working through the 9th grade language curriculum with my oldest, I, as someone who took advanced English literature and language courses both in high school and college, I just could not see a reason that she needed to be doing these deeply detailed things in 9th grade, or even at all, if she didn't have an interest in pursuing something that was related to painstaking minutia of things of that nature. I had really been feeling this urge to change things up somehow. Had been looking at other things, contemplating just changing it and dropping it all together and focusing on classic literature. But I think my teacher brain couldn't really reconcile with not having a formal curriculum for her in a core class like language. Thankfully, I had heard from the very first announcement about Sally Clarkson's new book, Awakening Wonder. I pre-ordered the book on the very first day that you could, and it was shipped in the middle of August. I started reading it as soon as it arrived, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. I mentioned that in my homeschool back to school viewer question video that I will link in the info box below. But I have really loved how incredibly affirming and encouraging it has been. And reading about the ins and outs of how the Clarksons went through the homeschool journey with their incredibly brilliant and highly educated kids just affirmed that those things I was feeling about my daughter's language program were legitimate, and I was actually on exactly the right track. So that is what we have done. We set aside the Abeka language curriculum book. I purchased a very basic literary terms and fundamentals book rated for middle school and high school use, which I will link in the info box below, and I will put the name of here on the screen. My hands are full, I just forgot to bring it out with me. And we are just going to focus on reading the classic literature that was already on her reading list for the year. She's going to do a little bit more reading each day than she was previously assigned, and we're just working through the literary terms book, looking for basically those devices being used throughout her day's reading, working more to fine-tune her writing process. The third big change that we're making is to our science curriculum. We have been working with Apologia for years, and we have really enjoyed it. On my daughter's birthday, during our break, we were just having a really fun family evening, and we happened to be out here. Kids were playing flashlight tag after a late dinner and cake and ice cream, so I was letting them run off their energy. And we noticed the stars, and the kids started asking questions about how bright the stars were. So I pulled up an app called Star Tracker just because it was free and pretty highly rated on the Google App Store. It was such a neat app that showed you just wherever you aimed the phone, what constellation you were looking at, if there were comets or different things that were visible on the phone. And it was so fascinating. The kids, we all ended up staying out here literally until both mine and my husband's phones died, because they were passing them around just looking all over at the sky and just exploring the sky. It was thrilling. And they had so many questions afterward and for days that I have decided that we will finish up the book that we are almost done with right now in Apologia, and then we are moving on to Master Book's astronomy program. It is rated for high schoolers and middle schoolers, but it is scaffolded in a really neat way that it is useful for learners of all ages. We are really excited to finish up the end of the Apologia book that we're on now before the Master Book's curriculum comes, so that we can focus on learning astronomy and taking advantage of that app on every clear night that we have, and just bundling up on these beautiful, cool, clear fall nights and coming out to explore the skies and put into practice the things that we will be learning in our astronomy course. One last change that we will be making that honestly we have not implemented in this first week of term 2, because someone has decided that it was a good time to have a 6-week growth spurt. So Mama has been arms full of baby around the clock almost the entire week. We will be implementing a very basic morning time routine. Now, we have never ever done morning basket or anything of the sort because it just wasn't something that worked well for our family. But just like the affirmation I received from the Awakening Wonder book, it is something that I had been thinking about wanting to do in a very basic sort of way, and not in a way that anyone would probably even call morning basket. But I heard a podcast from Amy Roberts over at Raising Arrows about how to do a super duper simple morning basket or morning routine type of thing to just get your household centered for the start of the homeschool day. And I had been contemplating this because in the past we have done family Bible time at night before bed. But since I got pregnant and was very, very sick, my husband took over doing bedtime, and most nights I was in bed before the kids. His routine was different than mine. We just got out of the habit of doing evening Bible time. And now with this little girl here, my evenings look even more different than that now. And it varies by the night, so there's really nothing predictable we can do about the evening. This summer I found on christianbooks.com a read through the Bible type of study, and I'll put a link to it in the info box below. But I love the way that it is split up to read the Bible in chronological order, because I feel like so much confusion comes because the Bible isn't put together chronologically. So I purchased it when it was on sale, but I didn't really have a plan for use. I initially was going to have the kids do the reading on their own every day and just pass the book around. But with 4 proficient readers, that would take some serious organization that I just don't have in me right now. So then I started thinking about doing a morning time, getting our school day started right after breakfast and chores with doing that reading all together for the day. But I kind of was doubting myself that it was plausible. And lo and behold, there was the podcast from Amy, encouraging families, especially large families, to just start small and start with that one thing. And she discussed how doable and practical it could be and how various ways to make it work for your family. And it was just the affirmation and confirmation that I needed to give it a try. So, like I said, we did not start it this week because 6-week growth spurt. But the plan is to start this next week with the daily reading together to start our school day, and then breaking off into individual studies and subjects. And those are the changes that we are making for term 2 in the 2020-2021 school year. If you have any questions about any of it, let me know in the comment section below. If you have already made some changes to your homeschool curriculum and choices so far this year, regardless of whether you do a traditional schedule or a year-round schedule or something in between, I would love to hear about it. If you or your family have used any of the curriculum or programs that I posted, tell me what you think of them. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me and my little chicken wing today. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It tells YouTube that we have good content here. Share this if you think anyone might find it useful, and subscribe to hang out for more. We'll see you again soon. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.